unfurl the curtain upon this labyrinthine saga of cerebral jousting and egoistic ambitions.
However, the next Joe Rogan to the left is, whoever the next Joe Rogan to the left is, it cannot be someone that crosses sexual boundaries, violates consent, and puts women's well-being and safety at risk. Oh my God, is that what Destiny wants to be? Oh, my brother. That's probably why he was so fun. All of these mainstream media outlets were calling me up to be like, you're the Joe Rogan of the left. You're the Joe Rogan of the left. Yeah, let me tell you another incredibly sophisticated harassment campaign they conducted. They went after CNN. They literally called up like random executives at CNN. They're so psychotic to be like, how dare you have this on? Like, they're such insane people. They found like they were sending like tweets and they're so crazy. Yeah, instead of being the Joe Rogan to the left, my man turned into the Andrew Tate of the left, but all the bad sides and none of the popularity. 27,000 letters sent to USC, by the way, to try to get me to stop, like to try to stop me from talking. 20,000 emails trying to get me banned off CNN. 27,000 letters sent to USC to try to get me to no longer speak at USC. And then they just don't understand when it doesn't work. I remember reading the comments where they were like, I'm beginning to lose my mind. Why is he still getting so much positive media coverage? Why doesn't anybody see him as like the truly evil person he is? And not in any part of that, they never even think, maybe we're wrong. Maybe most people understand how Gamergate style smear campaigns work, especially if they're in media, and they understand when like something is disingenuous. They just don't get it. No self-awareness at all. They're just operating like a bot farm saying, oh, I'm losing faith in our movement, guys. It just doesn't make sense. He did have sex with Lauren Southern. He was willing to throw everything in his marriage, his atheism, his polyamory, his streaming career to marry her and start a centrist media company that covers both left and right-wing perspectives. That's why the marriage fell apart. Wait, what? I don't know if that's true. That's crazy. Do they get paid? No, they don't get paid. They do this for admiration. Okay? And anyway, and before you say, why are you making this about yourself? This is about the victims. It's still a part of the operations. You understand? It's still it's a part of the way that his community operates. I'm painting a broader picture for a lot of people who have no clue who Destiny is because I don't actually talk about him all that much. I'm explaining to you how his community functions and how sophisticated their smear campaigns are in general, and how to a random onlooker, some of the stuff that they post is so far removed from the actual community itself that they come across as like totally random people talking about a random, okay? I'm the random in this regard. And that's what I'm explaining to you. If they can do this to someone like myself, who has a larger audience than Destiny, who has more of a social platform than Destiny does, then of course they can do this tenfold and bully smaller victims into submission every single time. So if you're wondering how stuff like this happens seemingly more than once, and yet for some weird reason, it never ends up making any sort of waves or end up harming Destiny's community at all, okay, or Destiny's prominence at all, it's because they have a very sophisticated smear campaign machine and a very sophisticated PR machine for Destiny. Destiny works against it on a regular basis by constantly saying unhinged, like how I don't know, what did he say when he was talking to Lonerbox a couple months ago, that he was or something? Like, he ruins it all the time, but his community is desperately trying to hold it together. So the entire reason why he's been able to get to this position so far is because he has a incredibly dedicated fan base of individuals with a lot of time on their hands who will do this for free. So like I said, if he could do this for myself, or if he can actually fend himself after debating ethical CP or whatever with other neonazis and still have a platform of prominence, of course he can bully people like Pixie into submission aggressively. That is the broader picture here. That is what I'm trying to explain. It cannot be someone who puts women in positions where they will be harassed. It concerns me that Destiny has been interviewing,
wherein the digital demagogue Destiny unveils aspirations as the self-anointed Pontifex Maximus of leftist discourse, cloaked under the guise of becoming the Joe Rogan of progressive arenas. Yet, in his Sisyphean pursuit of ideological hegemony, the endeavor is ensnared by ignoble stratagems, internecine rivalries, and the haunting specters of his alleged ethical transgressions. Enter Hassan Piker, known mononymously as Hasanabi, the Herculean figure who wields his twitch throne to lay bare the infernal machinations of Destiny's insatiable hunger for digital dominion. Behold, the intricate tapestry of this spectacle, an epistemological Gordian knot wherein Destiny, the self-styled avatar of dialectical sparring, seeks not merely to eclipse the ideological luminaries of his time, but to become the heliocentric nucleus of intellectual leftist discourse. Yet, this aspiration, as Hasanabi incisively articulates, is riddled with contradictions, undermined by a persistent pattern of ethical misdemeanors and the fervid zealotry of Destiny's cultic cohort. This cohort, a veritable army of digital crusaders, demonstrates a predilection for psychological siege warfare, deploying smear campaigns with the meticulousness of a military operation. Their raison d'etre? To obfuscate, to detract, and to elevate their idol to the vaunted echelons of public discourse. Hasanabi's exegesis of this situation operates as a philosophical indictment, one imbued with the gravitas of Aristotelian catharsis and the rhetorical flourish of Cicero. He expounds upon the inherent contradiction in Destiny's quest to embody the Roganian archetype of the left, a figure who is ostensibly inclusive, inquisitive, and boundary-pushing. Hasanabi posits that such an aspiration is fundamentally incompatible with Destiny's proclivities for transgressing ethical boundaries and perpetuating environments of harassment that imperil the very individuals such a role demands he uplift. It is a critique as scathing as it is illuminating, a fiery Promethean torch cast into the darkness of parasocial power dynamics. To grasp the breadth of this critique, one must delve into the dual realms of Destiny's rhetorical arsenal and his community's operational methodology. The former is characterized by its Socratic veneer, a labyrinth of hypotheticals, reductio ad absurdum, and verbal legerdemain. Yet, this intellectual scaffolding often serves to obscure rather than elucidate, functioning as a smokescreen for positions that are, at best, morally tenuous and at worst flagrantly harmful. The latter, his community, acts as a cybernetic phalanx, employing tactics ranging from mass reporting to coordinated email campaigns designed to delegitimize adversaries and intimidate detractors. Hasanabi's own experiences bear witness to this, as he recounts instances of being subjected to deluges of emails, letters, and tweets orchestrated with military precision, all aimed at silencing his critique and tarnishing his reputation. Amidst this chaos, the specter of Rogan looms large, a platonic ideal that Destiny aspires to but, in Hasanabi's assessment, grotesquely distorts. The Joe Rogan archetype, for all its criticisms, is underpinned by an ethos of curiosity and platforming diverse voices. In contrast, Destiny's modus operandi, as Hasanabi deconstructs, is marred by an authoritarian impulse to dominate discourse, coupled with an inability to reconcile his self-image as a harbinger of progressive values with the darker impulses that manifest in his community's actions. Thus, the aspirational mantle of being the Rogan of the left, far from being an accolade, becomes an indictment, a Sisyphean boulder that Destiny is both unwilling and unable to carry. The ethical dimensions of this drama are no less labyrinthine. Central to Hasanabi's critique is the contention that Destiny's actions, both his personal conduct and his community's operations, represent a systemic failure to uphold the values that should underpin leftist discourse. He highlights instances of boundary violations, harassment, and exploitation that not only undermine Destiny's credibility, but also imperil the broader movement's integrity. These actions, Hasanabi argues, are symptomatic of a deeper malaise, a parasocial ecosystem that incentivizes toxicity and rewards the dehumanization of perceived adversaries. In this ecosystem, power dynamics are both explicit and implicit, operating through a complex interplay of charisma, social capital, and the asymmetrical nature of online platforms. Destiny, as the gravitational center of his community, wields disproportionate influence, his words and actions reverberating through the digital ether with seismic consequences. Yet, this influence is not wielded with the magnanimity or accountability one might expect of a self-proclaimed steward of leftist discourse. Instead, it is deployed with a cynicism that mirrors the very structures of power and oppression that the left seeks to dismantle. a hypocrisy that Hasanabi is quick to expose. But this drama is not merely a tale of individual failings. It is a microcosm of the broader challenges facing progressive discourse in the digital age. The saga of Destiny and Hasanabi encapsulates the tensions between authenticity and performance, between accountability and cancel culture, and between the ideals of community building and the realities of parasocial exploitation. It serves as a cautionary tale of what happens when the pursuit of influence eclipses the commitment to ethical principles, and when the boundaries between personal ambition and collective responsibility become irreparably blurred. As this digital Iliad unfolds, Hasanabi emerges not merely as a critic, but as a custodian of the principles that should underpin progressive discourse. His critique of Destiny is not an exercise in schadenfreude, but a call to action, a plea for the left to hold its own accountable, to reject the facile allure of cults of personality, and to recommit to the values of inclusivity, empathy, and justice. It is a vision that transcends the immediate drama, offering a roadmap for navigating the treacherous waters of digital discourse with integrity and purpose. In the final analysis, the saga of Destiny's aspirations to be the Joe Rogan of the left is a tragicomic farce, a tale of hubris and hypocrisy that underscores the perils of conflating influence with integrity. It is a story that demands not merely critique, but reflection, a moment of reckoning for all who participate in the digital agora. For as Hasanabi so eloquently illustrates, the true measure of a community is not its capacity to amplify its loudest voices, but its willingness to listen to its quietest ones, to prioritize the well-being of individuals over the egoistic pursuits of their leaders. Let this tale serve as both a warning and a guide, a reminder that the pursuit of influence, untempered by ethical accountability, is a path fraught with peril. For in the end, it is not the loudest voices, but the most principled ones that will shape the future of progressive discourse. And as the digital dust settles on this episode, one can only hope that the lessons it imparts will not be lost in the cacophony, but will instead inspire a renewed commitment to the values that should guide us all.